What is up, my dudes and that one girl who wants a smile for the camera? This is Bikes, Beards, and Brews. Let's kick that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we kick this one off, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. New videos are coming weekly. You ring that bell, you know when they drop. Let's get the other stuff out of the way. Want to save 10% on a Cardo communicator or save some money on some Beyond Riders gear or on some Hogworks gear? Then you should definitely check my referral links down below. Want to support me and all my do-gooderness like these cool guys here? Boom! You should become part of the Brew Crew and join the coffee page down below. Want to know why I'm asking you for money? Well, next to those 10,000 Amazon affiliate links that also go to a good cause is a link explaining what I do with your money. Get it, got it, cool, let's move on. All right, guys, so today we are going to be doing a brutally honest review on DJI. Not just the stuff that I own, but DJI altogether. So this may affect you going forward. I know they have some new products coming out right now that a lot of people are excited about. So I did want to touch on the stuff that I owned, stuff that I've been looking at and possibly will own in the near future, and stuff that you should consider if you are looking to get into DJI. So let's do it. All right, so let's start this off with a quick rundown of what I own for DJI. Currently, I have two DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro cameras. I'm actually recording on one right now. I have a 2-pack of the DJI mic minis. One of them I'm actually wearing right now. I have the DJI Bluetooth remote. I have 6 DJI batteries, 2 DJI rechargeable cases for those batteries, a DJI stick thing, whatever, and a couple other little pieces and parts that put this all together. So previous to my DJI setup, I was using GoPro everything. I started with the GoPro Hero 8s, and then I went to the GoPro Hero 11s, and that is actually about the time that I parted ways with GoPro and went to DJI. We will get into some of the differences between DJI and GoPro going forth, so hang out for that as well. We're also going to be talking about Insta360 because I do have experience with those, and we'll talk about why I don't recommend them at all. All right, so on the DJI front, let's go through 5 things that I really dig about DJI. First and foremost, and it's such a simple thing, but I absolutely love it, that is the quick release bases that DJI uses. I love these so much that before I even started purchasing DJI, I bought their bases and I bought adapters to put on my GoPros to actually use my GoPros like DJI's. GoPro is now starting to do this with some of their newer cameras, but they're a little too late here. Every other horse has already done 3 laps around the track and GoPro is just starting now. Good luck, GoPro. Overall, these bases are just phenomenal. They clip in and they use a magnet. I have had my camera on my handlebars on my bike doing 90 plus, and there is no wobble, no fear, no nothing of these cameras coming off the bike. So I feel very safe with these bases. I feel very confident that my cameras are going to be with me at my destinations. Even the one on my helmet, same thing, 90 plus miles an hour with that thing on my helmet holding tight. And we're not talking just, a quick rip up where I get up to that speed and I come back down. We're talking about sustained speeds for like hours. It's just what happens. And these things hold tight. I've had no issues, no concerns, nothing. I love these things. Next up is battery life. Now I can't give you exact numbers because I'm not the exact numbers guy. I will tell you that I've been in the very same situations that I had for GoPro with DJI, and when I have finished recording, I've gotten to the end of whatever I'm doing, I find that the DJI has much more battery left in it than my GoPros would have. For example, when I did the Back of the Dragon ride, I did that as a full one-shot video. We're talking 4K, 60 frames per second, so I'm not even going to like the most conservative sort of numbers that a lot of these camera companies will give you when they're telling you how great their batteries are. 9 times out of 10, they're telling you, hey, film in 1080p, 30 frames per second. I'm not doing that. I did that entire ride and I still had like half my battery left when I got to the end of that course. Now that road is about triple the distance of the tail of the Dragon. I have done the tail of the Dragon with my GoPros and I have found that I'm at half battery. So something that took a third of the time, third of the distance, 4K, 60 frames per second, used more battery than the DJI's. That is fantastic battery management, and I am always impressed with it. Next up is heat management. DJI has this on lock. I am so impressed with the heat management. A perfect example of this is if you go back and you watch my last video with Jacques the Whipper out in Colorado, I handed this camera to my wife. I put it on a stand and I said, record the entire set. His set is 45 minutes long. Again, 4K, 60 frames per second. The difference I had here was I set it so my screens did not turn off to make it easier for her when she was panning side to side and watching everything. The temperature that day was 99 degrees and we were pretty much in direct sunlight. This camera made it all the way through, no issues, no overheating, nothing. By the time it was done, the camera was hot. I'm not gonna exaggerate this. It's not like I picked it up and I'm like, oh, it's so cold, it's like an ice cube. No, this thing was hot. But 45 minutes, 4K, 60 frames per second, in like direct summer, 99 degree weather, that is phenomenal. Just to give you an example, last year, when I was recording some of my garage videos with my GoPro, I would have the door off of the battery to give it more ventilation. I had nothing else attached to the thing. I had it outside of my garage, and every 15 minutes or so, I would have to shut the camera off, take the battery out, which was scorching hot, let the camera sit for a few minutes to cool down, put a different battery in to help cool it down, and then go record another 15 minutes. And at the time, it was maybe like 80 degrees out. So that is insane. And that's how I used to have to record. Even these videos that I'm doing right now, I do in my dungeon. I had maybe about 20 minutes on a GoPro before it would overheat in the summer. And my basement is not that hot, but GoPro just doesn't manage its heat as well as DJI does. I don't know what magic they've got going on, but they're using magic and it's phenomenal. That is just great heat management, and it has done just incredible things for me, and I applaud DJI for making this happen. Next up is the ecosystem. DJI just has a fantastic ecosystem, and what I mean by that is they have a lot of products that work together and just do a great job. For example, this mic right here is a DJI mic. Because it's a DJI mic, this connects directly to my camera. I don't need a transmitter. I don't have to plug anything into my camera to make this connect. I turn on my camera, this automatically connects. I have a second one. When I have that one out, they both automatically connect. No issues. Phenomenal. With GoPro, they don't even have a mic, so you're going third party. You have to have the transmitter connected to the camera. It's more work than it needs to be, and it's one more thing that can go wrong when you're recording. I know anyone out there who has ever done any sort of vlogging, motovlogging, whatnot, knows this. The more pieces you add, the more possibility that something in that chain is going to just break, and you don't want that to happen. So the more streamlined you can get things, the better it is, the less likely things are going to have problems. Another thing, and this is new, DJI has the Osmo 360 coming out. The Osmo 360 uses the same batteries as the Action 5 that I'm recording on right now, which means I don't have to carry multiple battery packs when I go traveling if I decide to go with the 360. I can literally just grab a couple of the same battery, throw it in my case, and I'm out the door. I don't have to go, all right, I got my 360 batteries here, I got my Action batteries here. GoPro can't figure that out. GoPro is unable to figure that out. And it's the same with Insta360. They can't figure that out. If you were to get Their camera, that is like the Action 5, what is it? The Insta360, I don't even care about the name anymore, but that uses a different battery than its X5. So that means you have to purchase all kinds of different stuff to make this stuff work, and that is very obnoxious. And just one bonus on this, I have to say the power on time on these cameras is incredible. If you just hit the record button and they're in sleep state, you know, they're turned off, whatever, they come on like that and they are recording. With GoPro, that did not happen. You could hit the record button, it's still gonna take a few seconds for it to boot up and start recording. So I have definitely caught things a whole lot quicker with these cameras than I did with my GoPros. All right, so it's not all sunshine and daisies with the DJI product lineup either. There are definitely problems. And these aren't little ones that I'm just trying to toss in there to be fair. These are actually some pretty big ones that you do want to consider, especially if you're getting into the DJI lineup. First and foremost, I'm sure you noticed I did not mention the remote at all in the Pros, and that is because the remote is absolute trash. This thing sucks. It is absolute garbage. I regret buying this every single day. I have been on with their tech support a few times. I've been in Reddit, like different Q things. I've been scouring the internet, trying to find a fix for this stuff. It's not out there because it doesn't exist because this remote is trash. So what do I mean? Normally what I do, especially with the GoPro, because I use two cameras, I've got one on my handlebars, one on my helmet, I use the remote. I hit the remote, it turns both cameras on at the same time, turns both cameras off at the same time. I like this because it makes it easier in editing to sync up my videos. I don't have to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I don't have to hit a horn, I don't have to do all this other goofy stuff that other people do to edit their videos. I don't like that. I like things simple. So if I can hit a button and it turns on both cameras, I love it. Now, the DJI can wake one camera from sleep. It cannot wake two cameras from sleep or anything beyond two cameras. That is completely absurd to me. Now it can support 15 cameras if they are all turned on in standby, ready to go. Now, if you're doing that, you're just eating away at the battery, especially if that's time that you are not recording. I would rather have my cameras in sleep state so I can extend my battery life, especially if I'm doing like a 1K in the day. I don't want to be swapping batteries every gas stop. I don't want to worry about my batteries being dead halfway down the road. And I really would like my videos in time synced up. So you can't do that with this remote. It is just absolute garbage. And I've talked to DJI and they're like, oh, we'll escalate this. We're really sorry. This is such an embarrassment. This is such a black eye on DJI because GoPro's been able to do this for over a decade. Like, how are you not able to do this when you're supposed to be a GoPro killer? This is embarrassing. And while we're on the remote, the battery life sucks. I have turned this on in the morning. I have gone out riding, and then around like 1 or 2, and you know, I'm leaving my house at like 7 a.m. That's when I turn the remote on. Around like 1 or 2, I notice that it's either sleeping or it's turned off. I go to turn it off, it is dead. It does not turn on. The battery is gone. With the GoPro remote, I could turn that on at 7 a.m. and the next day show up, hit the power button, and it's still gonna come on and still gonna like trigger those cameras. That is just embarrassing, especially considering their camera battery life is amazing. How did you not figure this out on your remote? Next up, and this is for anyone considering ordering the Osmo Action 360 that just came out. I noticed that this is the only 360 camera of the big three that does not allow users to replace their own camera lenses should they be damaged. The Insta360 X5, whatever it's called, you can replace the lenses. GoPro, who hasn't even put out the Max 2 yet, has put out ads just to like, you know, flex on DJI, showing that you can replace their camera lenses. DJI, you can't do it. Now for me, I don't stress about that too much because I do use screen protectors on all my stuff. I just assume the worst and protect for the worst. My cameras, right now, this one too, I mean, there is tempered glass on every single lens on there. That's just what I do. I don't stress it, but at the same time, I would really like to have that option. GoPro, back in the day, had cameras where you couldn't replace the lens. My original GoPro 8s, you couldn't replace the lens, and they got a lot of backlash on that. I don't know how DJI missed this during the time that they were developing their 360 camera. Little embarrassing on their part, but it's something you want to be cognizant of if you're ordering this camera. Now that goes into my next point, which is support for DJI in the US is absolutely awful at this point in time. DJI is having a lot of issues in the US, and from their own website, they straight up tell you that if you are returning any of your cameras for service, you're going to be looking at somewhere between 60 and 90 days for a repair. That is unacceptable, beyond unacceptable. Just as an example, I record 2 videos a week on average. So if you're looking at the time it takes for me to ship that camera in, the time it takes for them to process it in, the time it takes for them to repair it, and then the time it takes for them to ship it back, I am looking at potentially over 3 months without that camera, which means I am looking at over 24 videos where I can't use a camera that I purchased to make videos. That is absurd. Some people have a much higher recording schedule than I do. Some of you have a lower one, but consider that. You are looking at giving up your camera for possibly 3 months or a little bit more when you're talking about processing and shipping time, just because DJI is literally having a lot of issues in the US right now. With that being said, DJI is also kind of leaving the US out of its releases. For example, when I looked to purchase the Osmo Action 360, it instantly showed us sold out all the way across the board. Nothing was available. And it's not because it's sold out, it's because they never made it available stateside. They just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the issues and the problems, so they did not make it available. You can go to third parties, but even those are a huge issue. I ordered through B&H Photo, which is one of the places that DJI recommended that I go to if I want to get that camera. There was an eBay page, there was an Amazon page, there was B&H Photo, and there was one other company. All of them said back order, and all of them said they have no idea when this camera is getting shipped. So you're just kind of like throwing money down a hole and hoping the camera shows up at some point. That is very, very depressing. And that is the state of DJI in the US right now. So you have to be cognizant of that. A lot of the stuff that they have, a lot of the newer stuff they have, they are just straight up not offering in the US. So if you are stateside, you may be left out. And if you do get a hold of this stuff, you may be waiting a lot longer to get it, and you may be waiting way longer to get it repaired should you need to. Now with that, let's talk about that. The reason DJI is having so many issues in the US is literally the US government is after them. DJI is one of the biggest drone manufacturers in the entire world, and their drones are pretty damn impressive. They have great quality, great prices, great everything. Like, these are the leaders in drone technology for personal use. They're fantastic. However, DJI is out of China, and the US government has decided that they have a real big issue with DJI drones. So they have been going after them, and they have been working to ban DJI drones. And this has been trickling down and affecting other DJI products, as you can see with the Osmo Action 360. So you have to be aware of this, and you have to realize that there could be some DJI interruptions in general stateside if you are there and you're looking to get into these products. All right, so we talked about the pros, we talked about the cons. So the next question is, why am I not just going back to GoPro, and why am I not going to Insta360? These are two viable options that are out there on the market. They're both popular, a lot of people use them. Why don't I just go to those instead of sticking with DJI? And there's a couple answers to that. First and foremost, let's talk GoPro. And that is some of the stuff I already mentioned. They have yet to display that they have figured out good heat management on their cameras or good battery management on their cameras. Those are two big issues for me. Especially, I'm looking at some of the newer cameras now, and it seems like they're turning the camera or pieces of the camera into a heat sink. That's telling me they still haven't figured out heat management, because when you have to turn your camera into a heat sink, and nobody else is doing that, I don't think you're cutting edge. I think you're grasping at straws at that point. There's really, a heat sink is only as useful as like the air around it as well. So if your camera's just sitting in one place, yeah, that heat sink's gonna dissipate a little bit more heat than if it wasn't there, but it's still not as useful as if you had that camera on there and you were moving and there was actually like breeze and wind traveling over that camera. So I still have my reserves about that and their current design. Now, when it comes to Insta360, I did a whole video on them. I'll pop it here. They are shady as hell. I do not like Insta360 in any way, shape, or form. That is the only camera system that I looked into doing. Like, I purchased 2 of their cameras when they were absolutely new, ready to go. You could not turn these on and use them until you connected them to your phone and you gave them full access to your phone. Pictures, phone book, history, files, everything. Stuff that makes no sense. They wanted access to use that camera, and you could not opt out of it. And I emailed that company. I highly encourage you to watch that video. I did. And they came back and they were like, oh, we can't tell you why we need all of this access, but we promise we're not doing anything bad with it. Right there, that's shady as all hell. So, I mean, that I had issues with the video. I just did not like it. I bought a full setup. I was ready to go. I packed it all up and I sent it all back because it was just so damn shady. At least with like GoPro, as I used it, it would say, oh, you want to do this with the camera? Okay, we're going to need access to this file, yes or no. Oh, you want to do this? So it was through tiers. DJI, very similar. I'm able to like lock down what it actually has access to, and I can use it without giving it access to my phone all the time and full access to my phone. That is some seriously creepy stuff. You should be worried about that if you're getting into these cameras. Next, both GoPro and Insta lack a really full ecosystem like DJI has. Now, they both have little bits and pieces here and there that do work really well and are part of that ecosystem and are similar to DJI's ecosystem, but they don't have the complete package. GoPro doesn't have a mic system, so you can't just connect. It misses other stuff here and there. Insta360 has a mic system, but then they have the issue where you're buying like all kinds of different batteries if you're using multiple products. There's just little nuances here and there where I'm like, this is dumb. Like, why is this not just all working together? It's all coming out of the same factory. It's all designed by the same people. Make it all work together, and they don't. And last up, and this one, I feel like, personally for me, it's not a huge issue, but I love the fact that it is there, and I feel like other people should appreciate this as well. DJI has been including storage built into their cameras. This camera, for example, has 50 gigs of storage built into it, which means I do not need to put an SD card in this camera whatsoever. I can record probably an hour worth of 60 frame per second 4K video. No problems, no SD card, nothing. I just drop in the battery, turn it on, and go. GoPro and Insta360 cannot do that. You have to buy SD cards to make them work. And think about this. How many times have you used a camera where your SD card has filled up and you don't have an extra one? Or you found out your SD card is like going bad or not working right or something like that? No issues here. You just cut over to the onboard storage on the camera and you keep going. All right, guys, that's what I've got. What do you got? Are you using any of these cameras? Which one? Why do you like it better than the other two? Sound off in the comments down below. Maybe help somebody else out who's shopping for this stuff. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification, share this video with friends, share it with family, share it with that one dude you know who's like, I'm just so confused, I don't know which one to pick. I'll help you out, one guy. Trust me, He loves this stuff. And I'll see you all on the flip side.